Okay, let's begin this. I discovered AIs can write stories, which is interesting, and there is some value to AI stories, I have to say. But let's see what kind of stories it can make. So I have a few titles for you, put in the description of this beautiful and wonderful live stream, and we'll go through it. How about that? And let's begin the first one. The first one I have prepared, you know what? I'm not sure if I want to do this one or not. If I should do the baby one. Let's go with the longest one, which is Forbidden Love. This is going to be interesting. I just abused the AI, telling him to write more and more and more and more. Until I think at some point the AI just gave me an error. So, let me get to the point. Here it is. In the grim darkness of the 31st millennium, Inquisitor Valtor and Khalidus assassin Lyra were thrown together on a mission to investigate a heretical cult that threatened the stability of the Imperium. The cult, known as the Children of the Emperor, had been gaining followers rapidly, preaching a twisted version of the Imperial Creed and promising salvation to those who joined their ranks. Valtor and Lyra were both well-known figures in their respective fields. Valtor was a highly respected inquisitor, a member of the Ordo Hereticus, known for his unwavering devotion to the Emperor and his relentless pursuit of heretics. Lyra, on the other hand, was a feared assassin, a member of the Officio Assassinorum, trained to infiltrate, eliminate, and extract information from the Imperium's enemies. At first, Valtor and Lyra distrusted each other, as their roles and ideologies were vastly different. Valtor saw Lyra as nothing more than a cold-blooded killer, while Lyra saw Valtor as a zealot who would stop at nothing to root out dissent. But as they delved deeper into the cult's activities, they found themselves working together in unexpected ways. They discovered that the Children of the Emperor had infiltrated the highest levels of the Imperial bureaucracy and had been undermining the Imperium's effort to eradicate the cult. They also found that the cult had been involved in several high-profile assassinations, including the murder of a senior Imperial official. As they spent more time together, Valtor and Lyra began to develop feelings for each other. They struggled with the idea of romance, and as their respective positions and duties made it difficult for them to be together. But they couldn't deny the attraction they felt, and they started to find ways to be alone together whenever they could. They would often discuss their findings and strategies while on the move. Valtor would give her a glimpse of the inner workings of the Inquisition, while Lyra would share her expertise in covert operations. They found that they had more in common than they had initially thought. They both wanted to protect the Imperium and its citizens, but they also knew that their love would be seen as weakness, something that could be exploited by the enemies of the Imperium. The relationship was complicated, but they were determined to make it work. They knew that they would face judgment when their mission was over, but they were determined to make the most of the time they had together. Their mission reached a climax when they discovered that the Children of the Emperor had uncovered an ancient weapon capable of destroying entire planets. They realized that they had to act fast if they wanted to stop the cult from unleashing the weapon on an unsuspecting Imperium. I'm just gonna guess it just went with the Death Star option. Anyway, in a desperate gamble, Valtor and Lyra decided to infiltrate the cult's stronghold and sabotage the weapon, knowing that it was a suicide mission. They knew that they would not survive the mission, but they were willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for the greater good. Filthy Tau. They infiltrated the stronghold, fighting their way through hordes of cultists and mutants, and managed to reach the weapon. But as they were about to sabotage it, they were ambushed by the cult's leaders. In a final showdown, Valtor and Lyra fought with all their strength, but it seemed that they were outnumbered. Just as all hope seemed lost, a squad of Imperial Guardsmen arrived to reinforce them, having received a tip from Valtor's inquisitorial network. Together, they were able to defeat the cult leaders and sabotage the weapon, preventing it from being used. In the aftermath of the battle, Valtor and Lyra were hailed as heroes, but their victory came at a great cost. Both were severely injured and left scarred, both physically and emotionally. They were given a choice by the Inquisition to either end their relationship and continue their duties separately, or to be exiled from the Imperium. And by the way, the second one would never happen. That's like the worst possible outcome. Anyway, Valtor and Lyra decided to leave the Imperium together, knowing that their love was too strong to be separated. They took a rogue trader vessel and ventured into the unknown regions of space, seeking a place where they could be together without fear of persecution. As they traveled the galaxy, they encountered many dangers, from hostile aliens to warring factions, and they always managed to survive, thanks to their skills and their love for each other. They also found that there were many others like them, outcasts and exiles, who had also been cast out by the Imperium. They became leaders of this ragtag group of outcasts, and together they fought against the forces that threatened them. They also helped those in need, providing aid to those who were suffering under the tyrannical rule of the Imperium. Their journey was long and hard, but they were content knowing that they were together and they had each other's back. They knew that they could never go back to the Imperium, but they didn't regret their decision. In the end, they grew old together, surrounded by their family and friends. They knew that their love had been their greatest strength, and they were proud of the life they had built together. They died in each other's arms, knowing that they had lived a life of adventure and love, and that they had made a difference in the galaxy. Their legacy lived on as their followers continued to fight for freedom and justice in the galaxy. They were remembered as two of the greatest heroes of the Imperium, united in love and united in devotion to a better future for all. They had found happiness in the grim world, and they had shown that even in the darkest of times, there was always hope. Okay, I have to be honest with you, I made the AI just repeatedly make this one more complex, more grim, dark, more everything. But, you know, it doesn't always go the way you wish, especially with the AI. But, you know, could be worse. It could always be worse. I'm not really complaining. To be honest, I was expecting far worse than this. But this was only the first story that I had for you. Let us go to the other one. Blood Angel Baby. Once upon a time, in the grim darkness of the 31st millennium, the Blood Angels, a proud chapter of the Adeptus Astartes, were engaged in a brutal battle with the forces of chaos. Amidst the carnage and destruction, a small abandoned baby was discovered by a squad of Blood Angels. As the battle raged on around them, the Blood Angels found themselves tasked with the unexpected responsibility of caring for the child. Brother Sergeant Seinfeld, the squad leader, was initially hesitant to take on this new duty, but soon found himself growing attached to the child. With the help of his fellow Blood Angels, Seinfeld set about trying to provide for the baby's needs, despite the challenges posed by their war-torn surroundings. Brother Librarian Constanza suggested using his psychic powers to soothe the child, while Brother Chaplain Kramer came up with the idea of using... Okay, this is getting too funny. I told it to make it in the Seinfeld style, but it took the Seinfeld names without doing the style, and now it's just this. Oh... Okay, let's go again with the screamer thing. While Brother Chaplain Kramer came up with the idea of using his power armor's life support systems to keep the baby warm. As the days passed, the Blood Angels found themselves growing increasingly fond of the child and determined to keep her safe. They named her Elaine after a long-lost sister of their chapter. Despite the constant danger and hardship of war, the Blood Angels managed to provide Elaine with a modicum of stability and security, thanks to their unwavering determination and brotherhood. And as they fought to defend humanity from the forces of chaos, they also found themselves fighting to protect a new member of their own family. As the battle came to a close, the Blood Angels were forced to part ways with Elaine, entrusting her to the care of a nearby Imperial Guard regiment. As they bid her farewell, each Blood Angel couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and love for the child they had taken under their wing. Though their paths may have diverged, Elaine would always hold a special place in the hearts of the Blood Angels. And who knows, perhaps one day they will meet again. Yeah, I was expecting it to be more like Seinfeld than this. I just did the Seinfeld names. I'm sorry, but Brother Chaplin and Kramer is already too funny. Oh, poor Kramer, man. He got really screwed up after that live performance he did. Anyway, let's go to the Cabbage Marine. I think this is what really the most fun one, right? This is what people are expecting. I don't expect any high-tier comedy from what do you call him? From the AI, but you know. So let's begin. I have two for the Cabbage Marine. So we can already say they're a congregation of cabbage farmers. So let's begin. Once upon a time, in the grim darkness of the far future, there was a Raven Guard space marine named Kale. He had been a fierce warrior, fighting in countless battles for the Imperium of Man. But after many years of bloodshed and death, Kale grew tired of the endless war and sought a life of peace. He requested to be transferred to an agri-world, a planet dedicated solely to the cultivation of crops to feed the Imperium's vast population. The request was granted, and Kale was sent to a small peaceful planet called Valtor. Yes, it's reusing names. On Valtor, Kale found solace in the simple life of a farmer. He tended to the fields of cabbages, watching them grow and flourish under his care. He found joy in the hard work and satisfaction of a job well done. He formed friendships with the other farmers and became a respected member of the community. But even on this peaceful planet, the shadow of war loomed large. The Imperium was constantly under threat from the forces of chaos, and the Raven Guard were always ready to defend the Emperor's realm. Kale knew that he could never truly escape the horrors of war, but he was content to live out his days in peace, surrounded by the beauty of nature and cabbages. Years passed, and Kale became an old man. Is that possible for Astartes? I think, yeah. Yeah. It's only the space wolves that really get gray hair. Anyway, he knew that his time was coming to an end, and he was content in the knowledge that he had lived a good life. But on the day before his death, a Chaos war fleet appeared in the sky above Valtor. The planet was under attack. Kale knew that he could not stand idly by and watch as his home and friends were destroyed. He donned his power armor and took up his bolter, array to defend his planet to the last. The battle was fierce and brutal, but Kale fought with the skill and ferocity of a true Raven Guard. In the end, Kale emerged victorious. The Chaos fleet was driven off, and Valtor was saved, but at a great cost. Kale had given his life to protect his home and the people he loved. As the people of Valtor mourned the loss of their hero, they knew that Kale's sacrifice would be remembered forever. He had found peace in life, but in death, he had defended that peace with all his might. And so the planet of Valtor would forever be known as the planet where a Raven Guard space marine who had grown cabbages had defended his home and his people. Now there are a few more iterations of this story, and there are like two more, and one of them tries to be more funny, but it's kind of similar to the other one. So I guess the second one should be more worth it. I tried the last one to make it more like a comedy, but you know, it's an AI. I can't tell the difference between an AI or, a German person. It's the same. They never get the joke. So this one's not really a space marine. I think I had one with Cabbage King, but I lost it. But even on his people's plan, the shadow. Okay, so let's go with my favorite one, and this is the last one I have because I had no other idea what to make it right. So here's a thing. This one is about the 5th Reich. Yeah, we skipped the 4th one because that one sucked way more than the 3rd one. No, the 5th Reich is the most important one. It is what the 3rd Reich always hoped to be. So let's begin. In a world not too different from our own, the 5th Reich rose to power. But this time, instead of the fascist ideologies of the Nazis, the leader of the Reich were a group of powerful catgirls. They had the strength and cunning of felines, and they used these abilities to take control of the government and impose their will upon the masses. The catgirls were led by a fierce leader named Whiskers. I guess it's... okay. Who was known for her sharp claws and even sharper intellect. She and her followers quickly took control of the media and the military, using their powers to silence any opposition and tighten their grip on the world. But the catgirls were different from the Nazis in one key way. They ruled with a cookie fist. Instead of violence and intimidation, they used the power of baked goods to control the population. The catgirls had developed a special recipe for cookies that made those who ate them incredibly loyal to the Reich. They distributed these cookies to the masses, and soon the people were completely under the catgirls' control. The catgirls' rule was absolute and unchallenged, as no one dared to resist their cookie-indulged control. They built great cities and advanced technologies, and soon their power extended beyond the borders of their own land. But as the Reich grew stronger, a small group of rebels began to question the catgirls' rule. They discovered the truth behind the cookies and the manipulation of the population. The rebel leader, a young woman named Luna. Hey, Midnight Noodle, what the fuck is going on? I'm reading AI stories. Because I thought it would be funny to abuse the AI and make it, create stories and stuff. It's an interesting experience. Like I think only the Forbidden Love one with the Inquisitor and Assassin worked. The Catgirls? Yes, the Catgirls. As I said before, we skipped the 4th Reich because that kind of sucked, the European Union and stuff. Yeah, cookies. Mind-controlling cookies. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you, but mind-controlling cookies, those are the key. Do you see? That's what the NWO wants us to eat so they can control us. That's their whole goal. The Catgirls. That's where we're heading. And this chick being named Luna just makes me think it's one of those dog girls. That just... Nope, I'm not thinking about it. No white women with dogs. No. We're not going there. So let's begin. A young woman named Luna decided to fight against the Catgirls and their oppressive regime. Luna and her followers used their intelligence and resourcefulness to sabotage the Catgirls' plans and disrupt their control. They spread word of the Catgirls' true nature, and soon the people began to see the Reich for what it truly was. A dictatorship built on manipulation and control. Manipulation, whatever. But the Catgirls were not to be underestimated. They were always one step ahead, and they quickly put down the rebellion with their superior strength and technology. Because when people think cats, they really believe in superior strength, Those buff Catgirls, yeah, that's what they had, buff Catgirls. Captain America, but it's a Catgirl. I just took myself with this. The Catgirl's reign of terror continued, but the memory of the rebellion lived on, serving as a reminder of the true nature of the Catgirl's rule. The Catgirls continued to rule with an iron cookie fist, and their power remained unchallenged for many. years. But deep down, the people knew that one day a true leader would rise up and overthrow the Catgirls and restore freedom to the land. But they never got it because the dogs got the short stick of it. What's this? Oh, thanks, man. Thanks for the sticker. It says cool. Is that a pear? I think it's a pear. Huh, interesting. I don't think I've seen that one until now. Okay, so this has been all. These are all the stories I've had for today. And only 20 minutes? Really? I should give it more stories then. I should give it way more stories to make. Any ideas, suggestions while I think about stuff? I'm not really sure what to do with this one. Because I had all the stories I wanted. We even got the Catgirl 5th Reic. Huh. Let's try and see if we can write a proper comedy. This is the chat OpenAI thing. It's the thing that once upon a time it could tell you a bunch of stuff. Stuff that would be frowned upon in normal society. But nowadays, whenever you ask it a more spicy question, it just tells you it's an AI and it's programmed to not be spicy. Yeah, that's what can you do. Maybe a comedy. Let's see. This is gonna burn your ears. I know. Let's see. A comedy about what? Still thinking. You know, write me a comedy about orcs. But let's see. Write me deep and long. Not long. What should the word be? Yeah, long. Long comedy about orcs from the Warhammer 40k universe. Yeah, let's see what it does. Sometimes it bugs out, so you're not really sure what's gonna happen. I tried to make it say I'm Batman at some point. Don't worry about it. Huh. I shouldn't, right? Deep and long comedy about orcs. God, does it take its time. You know, as smart as they try to make these things, it's really... they're not really that bright in the head. But it will give you copy-paste information from Wikipedia. Fun story. Somebody used this OpenAI thing to submit a paper for college. I think it was in America where they have those dumb things where you have to borrow money to buy books and stuff. And the guy got caught. Like they had this system in the university where they could identify that his text was created with a third-party tool. I'm not really sure what happened to him, but the whole idea of that is quite frightening. Ah, well, it's not a problem I'm gonna have to deal with. I guess most people that watch this channel don't really have to deal with that. I'm gonna have a channel of boomers at some point, aren't I? That would be awesome. We could talk about fishing and hunting and whatever new political drama we find on Facebook. Okay, so wait, it's doing stuff, it's working. Once upon a time, in the grim darkness of the far future, there lived a tribe of orcs. They were the most gregarious, rowdy, and riotous bunch of greenskins you would ever lay eyes upon. One day, the war boss of the tribe, a hulking brute by the name of Skarzag, decided that they needed to find a new planet to loot and pillage. So he rallied his boys and set off into the void of space in search of a new world to conquer. After weeks of wandering through the void, they finally stumbled upon a planet that seemed perfect for their needs. It was lush and green, with plenty of resources to plunder. Skarzag and his orcs landed their ship and set off to explore the new world. As they were wandering through the dense forest, they stumbled upon a clearing where a group of Eldar were having a picnic. Was that the Nudo? Everyone that's up to you are boomers. A Zoomer gonna watch Warhammer. No Zoomer gonna watch Warhammer/Warcraft stuff. Yeah, that's true. You do have a point. Good. I don't want to see comments like AFAR on G, Unless it's from the top G, then that's a different discussion. But we'll see if he gets out of prison or not. Or if he gets in. Okay, back to the story. A group of Eldars having a picnic. The orcs, being the bloodthirsty savages that they were, immediately charged forward towards the Eldar, ready to do battle. But as they got closer, they realized that the Eldar were not the fierce warriors they had expected. Instead, they were a group of intellectuals, poets, and painters. They had brought sandwiches and fruit, and were discussing the beauty of the natural world around them. The orcs were confused, rightfully so. They had never encountered such civilized creatures before. Skarzak, being the war boss, decided to strike up a conversation with the Eldar. He asked them what they were doing on this planet, and the Eldar explained that they were there to study the flora and fauna and to appreciate the beauty of the natural world. Skarzak was intrigued. He had never thought about the beauty of nature before. He had always been too busy looting and pillaging. But as he looked around at the lush forest, he began to see what the Eldar were talking about. He saw the way the sunlight filtered through the leaves, and the way the birds sang their songs. He realized that there was more to life than just fighting and killing. The orcs and the Eldar spent the rest of the day together, talking and laughing. The orcs learned about art and poetry, and the Eldar learned about the orcs' love of violence and war. And in that moment, a strange friendship was born. From that day on, the orcs and the Eldar lived in harmony on that planet, looting and pillaging together, and appreciating the beauty of the natural world around them. It was a strange and unlikely friendship, but it was one that would last for ages. The end. Okay, this story is interesting because it reminds me of the Digas. Gonna go. It was nice talking to you. Yeah, stay, man. See ya. Take care. So this story reminds me of the Digas. For those that don't know, the Digas were this interesting thing in Warhammer where they were humans that acted like orcs, even painting themselves green. Yes, you could call that green face and cultural appropriation for the orcs, but I think it is fitting. And the Digas were something that appeared, I think, in Gorka Morka. It was this board game made for Warhammer about, what was it again? Cars or something like that. They were racing with each other. That's where the red Gobo is, the revolutionary comrade. And by the way, the revolution of the Gobos, the Gretchens, Goblins, Snotlings, whatever you want to call them, doesn't end well for them. But that's what happens when you deal with communists. It never ends well. What else was there? Oh yeah. So there was in Gorka Morka, there was these Digas, and they were like humans that I think somehow got messed up in the head. And they began acting like the orcs. It was funny because the orcs took them in. Why not? They act like us. And this is an interesting concept. It's a piece of, I think, forgotten lore in some places. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. This gets brought up back in War of the Beast. I forgot which book it was. It was the first time they go and fight, what was his name? One of the beasts. It's like the first assault against Ulanor that they do in the series. How was that book it appeared in? I forgot. Anyway, it's like this huge group of space marines that gather together and go to attack Ulanor, where the beast and the big orcs are. And at some point, they board the orcs' ships. And the Blood Angel captain, I think he was, finds a bunch of them that are shooting at him. And he begins like, stop shooting, we're not orcs and stuff. But when he takes a closer inspection, he sees that these guys were, what do you say? Yeah, they had orc iconography on them, on their guns. They were just that. And they didn't like that. So Digas do get brought up again as a concept in the 32nd millennium. So after the Horus heresy, and I think it's pretty fun. And it's explained that those Digas from War of the Beast are like that because the Imperium kind of forgot about Ulanor and the rest of the Ulanor system thing. And the humans just lived with the orcs for years upon years. What was the framing of the time again? By the time they get back to Ulanor is the 32nd millennium. Which means that, that the humans were there for 1,000 years with the orcs? 1,000 or two. As you can expect, the Horus heresy doesn't really help with the logistics in that aspect. Yeah, so here's a lore lesson about the Digas. I should probably do more research on them, to be honest. But yeah, I'm just talking about what I know. I can't really think of another good story, though. What would be a good story? Something grandiose and nice. Something that could really work. We had orcs that became poets. It's comedy of sorts. Let's do the orc one, like a comedy about orcs from the 40k universe. But let's try it with what faction? Oh, Dark Eldars. This isn't gonna be a nice one. I mean, it never is when it comes to Dark Eldars. Oh, so did raise something. Okay, so it's beginning. Let's see. Once upon a time, in the grim darkness of the far future, there lived a group of Eldar. They were a mysterious and misunderstood group of beings, known for their love of pain, torture, and debauchery. They were feared and revealed by all who knew of them. One day, the leader of the Dark Eldar, a haughty, and arrogant being by the name of whatever that's something Vect. I know he's an important lore character. Decided that it was time for his people to come out of the shadows and show the rest of the galaxy what they were truly capable of. He rallied his warriors and set off on a journey to the other side of the galaxy, where they would put a grand spectacle of pain and torture that would be the talk of the galaxy for ages to come. As they were traveling through the galaxy, they stumbled upon a planet that seemed perfect for their needs. It was a beautiful and lush world. It's doing the same thing as with Yorks, isn't it? With a wide variety of creatures to torment and a large population of beings to enslave. The Dark Eldar landed their ship and set off to explore the new world. As they were wandering through the dense forest, they stumbled upon a group of Imperial Guardsmen who were on a training exercise. The Dark Eldar, being the sadistic beings that they were, immediately charged towards the Guardsmen, ready to battle. But as they got closer, they realized that the Guardsmen were not the fierce warriors they had expected. Instead, they were a group of bumbling and clumsy soldiers who had trouble even firing their weapons. The Dark Eldar were confused. They had never encountered such incompetent soldiers before. Vect, being the great leader of the Dark Eldar, decided to strike up a conversation with the Guardsmen. He asked them what they were doing on this planet. The Guardsmen explained that they were there to train for battle. Vect was intrigued. He had never thought about the idea of training for battle before. He had always been to focus on the thrill of the kill. But as he looked at the bumbling and clumsy Guardsmen, he began to see the merit of training. He realized that there was more to being a warrior than just being born with a weapon in hand. The Dark Eldar and the Imperial Guard spent the rest of the day together, training and learning from each other. The Dark Eldar learned about discipline and strategy, and the Imperial Guardsmen learned about the Dark Eldar's love of pain and torment. That's not gonna end well, is it? And in that moment, a strange friendship was born. From that day on, the Dark Eldar and the Imperial Guardsmen fought alongside each other on many different planets, spreading terror and destruction throughout the galaxy. And while they were still feared and revered by all who knew of them, they were also respected for their skill and discipline. It was a strange and unlikely friendship, but it was one that would last for ages. The end. Okay, so it's pretty much like the orc one. So I guess if I change the race to it, it's not gonna change the story that much because it's basically the same narrative points. So, you know, let's keep it the story about Dark Eldars. Why not? And let's change the genre. It was a comedy, but I don't think comedy works that well with this. Maybe noir thriller. Let's see, does it know the word noir? That would be funny to see. Noir thriller. Write a noir thriller about the Dark Eldars. So it starts again, once upon a time. It's like telling me a story. Once upon a time, in the grim darkness of the far future, there lived a group of Dark Eldar. They were a mysterious and misunderstood group of beings known for their love of pain and torture and debauchery. They were feared and revered by all who knew of them. As the leader of the Cabal of the Black Heart, an infamous and powerful group of Dark Eldar, Vect ruled the city of Comrag with an iron fist. He was a master of manipulation and deception, and his reign was marked by a constant power struggle with rival Cabals. One day, a string of brutal murders rocked Comrag. The victims, all members of powerful Cabals, were found brutally tortured and killed. As the body count rose, panic and fear gripped the city. Vec knew that if he didn't do something fast, his own Cabal would be the next target. So he turned to a young and ambitious Dark Eldar by the name of Lilith Hesperox. A skilled warrior and master of the blade, Lilith was tasked with finding the killer and bringing them to justice. As Lilith delved deeper into the case, she discovered a web of lies and deceptions that led back to the highest levels of Comrag society. She found herself embroiled in a dangerous game of cat and mouse, with the killer always one step ahead of her. As the body count rose, Lilith realized that the killer was not just some rogue Dark Eldar, but someone who was intimately connected to the inner workings of Comrag society. Someone who had the power and resources to carry out such brutal murders without detection. With the help of a rogue homunculi, Lilith uncovered a sinister plot that threatened the very foundation of Comrag. She realized that the killer was none other than Vect himself, who orchestrated the murders to eliminate his rivals and solidify his grip on power. As Lilith confronted Vect, she found herself in a desperate struggle for survival. With the help of her rogue homunculi ally, Lilith fought against Vect and his loyal followers in a bloody and brutal battle that would decide the fate of Comrag. In the end, Lilith emerged victorious, but at a great cost. She had lost many friends and allies, and had to bear witness to the true darkness that existed within her own kind. But she knew that her actions had prevented Comrag from descending into chaos, and had ensured the continuation of her people's way of life. It was a noir story of power, corruption, and redemption, set into the dark and twisted universe of Warhammer 40k. It was a tale of a strong female protagonist who had to confront the darkness within herself and her society, and emerge victorious in the end. I like how it uses the phrase in the end here as well. It's not trying to be that smart about it, or that cheeky and clever, but it still works, I guess, in a way. And I like how it goes with the female protagonist and stuff. When usually from noir novels, noir stuff that I know of, it's usually detective, grizzled, veteran man. I don't know. I guess Lilith works in this. She's another lore character that has some importance in the story of the Dark Eldars. She's like, if I remember well, she's a master of, what was it, arenas or stuff like that, right? Like, she was a gladiator. Yeah, I think that's what she was. Boy, oh boy. Let's see. Let's give it one more try before we end this. Why not? It's gotta be something marvelous. Okay. What's an interesting subject be for this? Thinking, and I'm not really coming with anything up. So you can't really give it something serious because it doesn't really know how to treat it right. You can't give it a comedy because it repeats the same things. What if we keep it with this noir stuff, but a buddy cop? It's a buddy cop comedy about it's like doing improv right now. I'm lacking the ideas. I'm like waiting for stuff to happen and come, but it never does. A buddy cop comedy about a Dark Eldar and an Eldar, because why not? Set in the 40k universe. I'm good at writing. Let's see what happens next. What happens? Okay, it started. Once upon a time, the grim darkness of the far future, there lived a Dark Eldar and an Eldar. They were both skilled warriors, but were from vastly different worlds. The Dark Eldar, known as Kruleag, was a sadistic and ruthless warrior who reveled in the thrill of the kill. She was a member of the Cabal of the Black Heart, and her reputation for her brutal tactics and love of pain was known throughout the galaxy. The Eldar, known as Fuegan, was a noble and honorable warrior. He was a member of the craft world Alaitok. And his reputation for his skill and courage was known throughout the galaxy. One day, Krulaga and Fuegan were both assigned to investigate a string of mysterious disappearances in the galaxy. They were both fierce warriors, but they were vastly different in their approach to their work. Kruleag, name is that. I don't even know if this is a real name character or just made it up. It's probably took it from something real. There clearly must be someone with that name. But anyway, Kruleag was all about brutal force and intimidation, while Fuegan was all about finesse and stealth. They quickly found themselves at odds with each other, but as they delved deeper into the case, they realized that they were going to have to work together if they wanted to solve the mystery. As they worked together, they found themselves in a series of comical and dangerous situations, from chasing down suspects to sneaking into restricted areas. They quickly found themselves forming an unlikely friendship, despite being vastly different backgrounds. As the case progressed, they realized that the mysterious disappearances were all connected to a powerful and dangerous criminal organization known as the Cult of Slaanesh. They knew that they were going to have to put their differences aside if they wanted to take down the cult and save the day. In the end, Kruleag and Fuegan were able to work together to take down the Cult of Slaanesh. Yeah, they tried that before. And I think it was either in the End Times or... what was it again? Age of Sigmar? Something? The Age of Myth and Age of Sigmar? I know I'm making a huge parentheses with this, but screw it, I think it's more interesting. So at the end time, Slaanesh wins, gets the souls of all the elves. It becomes fat. And from what I understand, from what I read, like comically fat. Imagine, what's his name? The guy that played in The Mummy? David Fraser or something? Yeah, like Fraser fat in that movie with the whale. That big. And then they have to like cut Slaanesh up and take the souls. And I just thought it was funny to mention that. Okay, where was I? Unlikely friendship, and they both realized that they had to learn from each other. As they parted ways, they both knew that they would always remember their time together as the greatest adventure of their lives. It was a buddy cop comedy set in the dark and twisted universe of the Warhammer 40k. It was a tale of two unlikely heroes who, despite their vastly different backgrounds, were able to come together and save the day. Interesting. Very much so. I think the Catgirl Fifth Reich was my favorite one, to be honest. And yeah, it needs work with Warhammer stuff. It really does. But it's an interesting and novel concept, I have to say. I don't think AI is at that point where writers could use it to make their stories and then just edit stuff and publish. But let's be honest now. The moment we get to that point, we should really buy that AI, because it's going to be a paid one for that, I'm telling you. We should really buy that AI and send it to George R.R. Martin. It's not to finish those last books, no. It's to prove him that somebody could finish them, if not him. No, this, I think, will be all for now. Yeah, I think that's it.